Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
God frickin' damn.
What was that?
Would anyone want to describe this movie to me at all? Anyone? Please go ahead.
Blasphemy.
Okay, blasphemy. Good. That's one. Seriously, good. No?
Trying to put words into it. Fucking Prince. All the religions at once.
The
Okay.
tree of life is recognizing love and acknowledging love and going for love, not trying to save love.
Are you saying that's their interpretation, or is that your interpretation? And they...
That is my understanding of what their point was.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Well, there was as I watch it, there's different stories, and I don't know. Like I see different interpretations as well. Like that whole ending with the rebirth and really becoming one. Like before that happened, he really merged with her, with the tree. But
Yeah.
in the final scene, at least the way I saw it, it's exactly what like in Buddhism they say, like what you're supposed to let go, and he really hadn't let go.
No, he did
Which
not.
is
At
yeah.
least throughout the movie, he did not until till the very end. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's very human. Like it's I think at least the struggle I saw with life and it's like it just goes like that's for everybody. So everybody in the past or in the future will experience these things, and I think it's extremely relatable. And there's always a longing as things pass. Like there's a battle against it, right? So it takes you through a lot of that type of like steps without the usual movie magic of cheating you from like the happily ever after or all this this
Yeah.
movie magic. Um it just seemed a lot closer to life. So it did have a lot of abstraction, but
True.
I think that makes I think that makes sense.
I mean, I have to agree with you. Those moments where there's a loved one in trouble or like, it's like taking that moment and the feeling you have like inside yourself, that feeling you have, and turning it into a conquistador traveling through like ancient Mayan jungles to find some sort of relic or some shit like that, right? It's like almost like the feeling represents that almost, but you don't get that story. It's usually like normal shit. So they actually based the story down to a normal human level of a guy just trying to save his wife, right? Yeah, it's a little bit, fancy because he's a doctor or he's a famous scientist or whatever the fuck, right? Or he's like an exceptional scientist or whatever, right? But at the same time, if you're in that situation where you're looking after a loved one and like the idea of helplessness is not really in your mind, you're like, I have to get this shit done. It's got to get done type of shit. And like if I took that feeling and threw it into a story, it would look like a magical Indiana Jones, a Crusader, or Conquistador, or whatever the fuck, where they're like, willing to go to certain lengths to protect their queen, right, if you will. And it shouldn't be about male and female. I'm just saying, like, in general, like a care for someone turns into like a fucking giant epic story, and they showcase that as well. I thought that was very interesting, very interesting, and not bad in my opinion. Although they get a little I don't know. I don't know if showing their hand is the right word for it, but it's definitely a I don't know, like the fucking Buddha pose thing, man. The fucking meditation pose thing. I'm like, oh, okay, we get it, Aronofsky. We get where you're going. I think you're quote unquote showing your hands too much with that. You can be a lot more subtle than that as a film. I'm saying, not for where they were going as a message, but maybe for the sake of film, you overdid it there, which he makes up for, right? In later film, he learns from that lesson, I think. Where things like The Wrestler comes out, or Black Swan, or The Whale, or Mother. Even with Mother, where it's a very like another very abstract type of movie, but he does it in such a grounded way. It's like, oh my god, this is fucking brilliance. It's fucking brilliance. This, he's like, hey man, I mean this religious stuff. I mean this is what I'm talking about, bro. Here it is. Let me show you. That for me is the only flaw in the it's the only major flaw in the movie. Is overshowing his hand that he's trying to talk about spiritual ideas. That's the only overshowing of something. Other than that, the storytelling, I think, is fucking beautiful. I enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. And I've not seen this in a long time. And let's be real, I didn't have the acumen I have now. So watching this again and watching it with a new lens, this shit's pretty fucking good, man. Aronofsky's actually, I think he's a brilliant fucking person. A brilliant creator. I really do believe that. You can see his mistakes here, I'm saying, but he starts honing his fucking craft, man. And you can see it in films that are quote unquote in the future from this, right? From The Fountain. You can see him like bringing subtlety to a bigger realm, rather than like going more over the top of hey, let's just show Jesus on the cross. Let's do that. Let's overdo that or something like that, or let's overshow Buddha sitting under a tree or whatever. Right? Instead of going that direction, he went more like, oh, let's do this a lot more subtly, and that became his brilliance, his style of brilliance, in my opinion. And I'm like, god damn, that's fucking beautiful. That's awesome. But all right, sorry, go ahead, Dubster. I'm sure you're itching to say something.
So the Garden of Eden story where I put a sword at its entrance. That was the Mayan guardian at the top.
They called him First Father, right?
And,
which would mean Adam.
Right. So, and his sword was on fire, remember?
Yes.
So, and then, what does the Fountain of Youth do? If you really are youth, you go back to the beginning, and that was like the tree of life. It must start over. So whenever he consumed the sap that looked like fucking jizz.
It did.
He started over from
very white jizz. Pause.
Yeah, he started over from being a plant, basically. Maybe the beginning. Maybe considered the beginning.
He became like First Father again. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Maybe it's this idea of like this egotistical idea of like having control over everything, and I guess his lesson was to let go, whether by hook or by crook, right? Whether it's him actually letting go in one, I guess maybe timeline or scenario versus another where it's like like the where is it the conquistador, right? He's straight up like what's happening to me? Oh fuck. He's getting wrecked, right? It's not him like willfully choosing that. He just but he kind of did, right? Because of his other timelines, he kind of chose to do that already before. Am I cutting out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me?
No, you're
Is that
better?
fine.
Is that better?
I get what you're saying.
A little bit spotty, but you can hear it.
Okay, I can see my name light up and like not light up when I was talking at certain points.
Now you're not cutting out. So
I think my cord was a little bit loose on the USB. Whatever. But yeah, like it's almost like even though that version of him, the conquistador, right, where he drinks the sap, right, and he puts it on his wound and shit like that. And he's like, "Oh my god, I found it, yeah." Right, and he starts getting. Then all of a sudden, plants are growing out of him, and like vegetation's growing out of his fucking body and shit like that. Right?
you're doing it again.
You can't hear me? Hello?
Cuts
Cutting
out.
out again.
Ah, shit, man. I don't
It's
know.
not a steady cutout. It's just a intermittent one.
I think OBS is getting me, so whoever watches this review will hear me very clearly. I think it's just Discord fucking up.
It ain't cutting out for me.
I think it's
Oh,
I got green lights on Discord. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. Yeah, like that word just got cut out right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
got
cut
cut out there.
Yeah. It's I don't know what's happening.
So there's a few things here about.
I'm gonna turn this off real fast.
Well,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a few things about like rebirth. Well, there's the rebirth of the whole universe at one moment. There's
Mm-hmm.
there's just like this idea of cycles of life.
Yep.
And when he's a Buddha or kind of becomes one with everything, and he becomes one with the tree. There's some sense where you just understand that like this is like the cycle of life, right? Like that's how life ends, but that's also in a way, the beginning. It's all it's all one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You lose your life, but you've gained it. It's all a part of the same thing.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep in mind there is that idea of the fountain of youth, right? Like when he's in the I guess our world, modern times, right, where he's experimenting on the fucking monkey, and he discovers like, oh, his mind his I don't know, brain cells have redeveloped or something. Like he gets younger, kind of, right? Like regeneration starts happening for the ape they're
Mhm.
fucking working on. But he didn't care about that, right? That character in that time period did not care about that. He was there to like cure cancer, I guess, for the sake of his wife, Izzy, right? And then,
Yeah.
but the conquistador, right? Once he finds this thing, right? I guess he walks across a fountain, right? And he starts regenerating himself, right? Where he puts it on his wound and all that shit, right? But I'm curious whether go ahead.
I just connected that the sword or it was a dagger, that map,
Yeah.
which became a key,
Mm-hmm.
was his cure. The cure that he found in the other world.
Yes.
I just connected the two.
Yeah.
That's what unlocked it.
Well, he said that, right? When he was talking about like the cure for the monkey, right? He brought up something about in regards to it. Hey, that tree, right? Where we got this, like in scientific, like, oh, this fucking chemical thing or this herb or whatever the fuck they got, right? That they put into their
Mhm.
fucking formula and it fucking cured the monkey, right? So there was like a tree involved with that. So maybe that's what you're talking about with that, or or no?
No, well, I think that the dagger was also a part of like it actually when he placed it when he went to the location and he placed it in the right place,
Yeah,
it also turned into a key that opened up like this thing, right? Or
the center
I
plate
guess
of
that was
the
in the
yeah.
I guess that was in the war. I don't know which world that was in.
That
I
was in
think that was the Buddha world.
the Conquistador. Wait. You're talking about where
Oh.
the guy from Breaking Bad, Hector Salamanca, where he put the dagger in the ground and like turned like a key
He put
type
it
of
in the
thing,
ground.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
That was Conquistador world. Then I
Mm.
guess right, that's when the guy brought it back and he got betrayed by that dude we see in every movie, that other guy, right? When he got that's
Yeah.
when Hugh Jackman got betrayed by those guys, right? And he fucking killed them. And then he went to, and then I think Hugh Jackman went to the Mayan guy that was guarding the Tree of Life or whatever the fuck, right? He was like guarding it with the sword of
That
fire.
type, right? That
Yeah.
where that key was in the sewer lock. It didn't actually do anything except for point towards the temple.
Yes. Yeah.
And the temple is where the tree of life was
Yeah.
at the top,
And the guy was guarding. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
or the pyramid, the Mayan pyramid.
Yeah, that makes sense. And actually, in the beginning of the movie, the Rachel Weisz, aka Izzy, was like, "Why would they pick like a dying star as like their thing?" And I guess it's because it wasn't a dying star. It was a like you die and you rebirth through another cycle, and you just do it all over again type of thing. Not do it all over again, but like it recycles in a way.
Reincarnation.
Yeah. Yes. They chose. I guess that'd be like choosing eternal life over. I don't know. I'm gonna assume they're going with they're choosing like an actual knowledge of cycling through life rather than just being kind of ignorant of it. I think that was kind of the idea they were going with, but I think it's up to interpretation. Honestly, I think it's kind of a lot more open than I'm even saying right now.
Well, if you combine all the religions and look at it that way, then you think of the idea of heaven, and heaven would be you don't realize you're in a place called heaven. You're just living heavenly, which would be consistently living life in different ways and finding love throughout life.
Yes, that is an idea. That is an idea I've heard before, and wouldn't be surprised if it's in this movie. But also,
I mean, they only showed 2 lifetimes, but the idea implies when he showed his hand and all the rings that it was different lives that those two found each other.
yes. Well, yes and no. It's almost like worlds where they found each other, but worlds they also created simultaneously, but are also worlds that already existed too. Like the book The Fountain that Izzy was writing was about the conquistador thing, which may have been an actual life experience that or quote unquote past life thing that they experienced, right? Where they end up together there, they end up together in another life, and on and so forth, right? There, if she's a tree, he becomes a tree, right? Like type of thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
It
and
kind of implies. Go ahead.
her writing ended, but she didn't want the book to end, like stop. She told him to continue
She
the
said
story.
you get to write the last chapter.
yeah, he gets to finish
Right.
it, which is chapter 12, which is also
Right.
interesting.
So
Metaphysical.
they're a union, right? Like they have a life together,
Teammates.
and then
Yeah.
and she had to stop, but she was asking him to carry on, to continue.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, to continue creating the story, and I think the story was also is life. It's a little bit like
Yeah.
dramatic of a warrior, but he was going through all these things, and You know, it could be in a book or in his mind or anything, but I think he was going through that at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I called it meta, like a story within a story. That's kind of talking about the story, like as a whole. I'm like, that's fucking beautiful to me. That's very beautiful to me. Not, I mean, yeah, there are things mentally I can think of to where Aronofsky or the writers, whatever the fuck, gets a little too heavy-handed. But truly, at the very least, like it's very interesting. I think at the core of it, there's something very beautiful there. Very beautiful. Very woo-woo, if you will. It is what it is. All right, let's go to recommendations and grades. Would anyone like to go first, or is it me on a stage by myself?
I'd like to go first. This is blasphemy. I don't recommend anybody watch it, but it's like it's an 8.5 at the same time.
Shut the fuck up! You can't not recommend it then
That's just
say
good.
8.5. Shut up.
I did what I did. What's up?
Whatever. Jesse, you want to go?
Yeah, I rate it a hell yeah.
I agree. I agree with both of you, kind of. Your score. I think your score is a little too high for me, Dubster. A little too high. I can't believe I'm saying that. Dubster's score is a little too high for me. But whatever.
Probably too high.
I 100% recommend. 100% recommend. I think it's a beautiful story, man. It's a beautiful story. It really is. But I won't let sentimentality like overbear me to where I can't give it a real critic score. But I liked it, man. I liked this movie, man. I liked it. I really did. Once again, there's God.
You've seen it before, right?
I've seen it a long time ago. It's probably over. No, it's not. It's not 20 years old for me. It's probably 15 years or more, minimum. Had the guess. I don't know when did this come out. Let me see. Fountain. I saw it on fucking IFC, bro. A while. It came out in 2006. Holy shit. Yeah, I have not seen this in
18 years.
a very long time. I've not seen this. But and when I did see it, I didn't have like this lens. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have these eyes I have now, right? Almost like I lived a different life. Like I'm fucking Hugh Jackman in his second lifetime, like watching this again, you know. But I still like I have more of appreciation for it right now than I did when I did watch it. Let's put it that way. God dang. I think there's more than what we can even say, I think, in this review. At least for me. Like I don't think I'm saying enough for what we actually watched throughout the movie. But my intuitive score right now is I'm gonna go with a 7.9. 7.9 out of 10. That's where I'm at with this movie. 7.8, 7.9 in that territory. I think there's something excellent happening here on multiple levels, not just, I love my woo-woo shit, bro. I love it. But I think there's like cinematic things that are actually awesome here. As much as they make me flinch when I see this guy in a Buddhist fucking stance or a meditative state stance or whatever the fuck, that makes me flinch a bit and cringe a bit. But the rest of the movie, it's still they pull you down to the ground in many aspects in this fucking movie. I found that very beautiful that they did that, man. Like with Hugh Jackman as the doctor and Izzy as like having cancer and all that shit, and her like it's. I think there's something grounded and beautiful about that, and I can't throw that away, man. Too beautiful.
Well, you know how the reason you got kicked out of Eden was because you took the tree of knowledge.
Which
versus
there could be more
versus
about
the
that.
tree of life. But they were naked in Eden, but he had pajamas on. So
Well, he wouldn't be bald, right?
it's weird.
Adam's not bald. How dare you?
Well, Matrix, you're bald in the real world when you're born.
Fair enough.
Well, I saw this much more more Buddhist inspired. Like not like the I would have recognized the pose at any time, but like completely separating it from that, there was a lot of details that they included that made it make sense to me. Like especially with the tree. Like I kind of felt like she told the story of the tree, so that made more sense when you see it.
Yeah.
But I um and that she was living through um through the tree. She was having continuity with it, where she was one with it. And when he was approaching it, yes, the stabbing of it definitely had a sexual tone. Like it wasn't just a stabbing and on all the visuals that they gave.
Mhm.
But that's why I mentioned the kind of rebirth or really just dissociation with sex. But like I kind of knew that he was going to get consumed by it and become one with it also. Like all of those things made a lot of sense from like a more Buddhist perspective. Like and especially
Okay.
like even after that, the whole universe like recycling itself. It's just like a very it had a lot of association with like it's all together.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the same thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. But I'm telling you, there's also a, I guess, Western style religious take mixed in with this. Very much
Mhm.
so. Very much so. Um,
All right. So when the bubble that was his version of the tree of life, I imagine
when he's in floating in space or
con
whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
I imagine that there's millions of bubbles and everybody's just doing the same thing.
Possibly, but
But we
they don't
just
give that answer though. We don't know that.
right, and they don't show it. They don't show it. But when it rises to the part where you could see the sun or whatever, the bright light in the sky, I'm just thinking that's like coming because when they were in the tree of life and biblical,
Yeah.
they're in the presence of God. So that star is like God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think there's religious shit. I think there's Buddhism. I think there's paganism. I think it's all up in this fucking movie. I once again, I think the scene where Hugh Jackman walks into the fucking room where she's like the queen of whatever Spain, right? And all those dangling lights around her. That's paganism essentially, where
Well, yeah.
she's like the represented she's like the moon, and these are all stars surrounding her, like stars surround her head, which is a old motif I've heard before in regards to kind of religious storytelling, and especially the names Izzy and Tom. Right, he was Tomas when he was the conquistador. Right, I'm sure she was like Isabella when she was the queen or whatever, queen of Spain or whatever. Right, and
Queen
then
Isabel.
yes, and then in
Yeah.
modern times it was Izzy and Tommy. Right, it's like I think those names actually are symbolic. I think he actually did that on purpose. I can't say I know. I don't fucking know Aronofsky, right? Or the writer. I don't know these guys personally. I'm just saying, like, I swear I've seen that before. I swear I have. So I could definitely believe that there's it essentially like a throwing different
Well,
like spiritual beliefs into a melting pot and just fucking stirring the fuck out of it. I could definitely believe that this movie was going for that. But yeah, go ahead.
for the Norse, you get the direct correlation from the god that uh the the tree of life is born out of a god who ate a seed.
Okay. Ah, okay.
And then with Greeks, Olympus, or what's the god that holds up Earth?
Atlas? Am I tripping?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Atlas?
that's the tree of life aspect
Yeah.
for that.
Okay. And yeah, I could see that. Like, there's so many ideas here. When he finally lets go with Izzy, instead of like this dude's, he's so in love with her that he's like, yo, I'm gonna find a cure for death. But they're like, no, you gotta let go, man. Sorry, you gotta let go. So what does he do? He plants a fucking seed, right, where her grave is. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, she's gonna like kind of live through this thing. Like that's kind of symbolic. It could also be like very tangible because of the we're in make believe land, right? It's a movie, so maybe that leads to him being bald headed, fucking Buddha pose thing, right? Who knows? I don't know. But goddamn, that's multi-tiered writing to me. Yeah, I think it's adult style, actual for adults style writing, and I can't be proud enough. So, yo, yes. Granted, we had to go back to 2006 to watch something like this. All right. Any last words before I end this? This is a fun movie to watch. Any last words? Anyone? Blasphemy, but at 8.5. Got it.
Yeah, and don't recommend it.
There you go. All right. There's our review for The Fountain from 2006. Darren Aronofsky is a fucking master, bro. It is what it is.